I believe that a great piece of content can make a good song great. And I believe a bad piece of content can make a great song good.
Yeah, that's good.
So you got to play the game as an independent artist. You do have to study content creators, not musicians.
Ruslan.
If you're an aspiring artist, if you're an aspiring YouTuber, if you're an aspiring creative, walk us through some of the basic ideas. Because I think it starts on the idea of just quite simply like, you don't really want it bad enough. A lot of people say they want it, but they don't really want it bad enough, right? And we were talking about, before we get into that, guys, my name is Ruslan, and this channel exists to encourage you to mastermind your business the master's way. May not be subscribed yet, so if you aren't, please hit that subscribe button. All right, now let's get into the video. The word passion at lunch, and I was like, you know, there's two definitions of passion. One is like an uncontrollable emotion to do what you love, and then the other is like suffering and agony, the passion of Christ, right? So like, the foundation of it seems like your launching pad is like, first of all, like get real with yourself and ask yourself if you're actually willing to suffer and go through agony for the thing you say you want. Most people aren't, which is why most people probably aren't successful, right? Walk me through some of the rest of like the concepts in the book.
Yeah, and maybe speaking on that topic specifically as like a fundamental base, not as like, if you do this, you'll be successful, right? Just like fundamentally replace it with things that, like if somebody's listening, replace it with things that are your crutch or your vice or your whatever, and swap it out. Like for me, do I want it bad enough to, like I wore the same pair of shoes every day for 2 years. I bought them with you in Tennessee.
Oh snap, those Nikes at the Nike factory store.
I wore them every day for 2 years.
That's a trip.
More kind of like on principle, but kind of like on, do I spend $100 on shoes or do I buy another beat?
Yeah,
right. Like just on the principle of that.
Yep.
Because what will another?
Wouldn't those things get a little small on you too?
Oh, they were tight. Yeah, they were too small when I bought them. So I walked around with curled toes, you know.
Yeah.
Dude, anyway, but that principle of that, like, what's gonna help me towards my goal? A new pair of shoes or getting another rep in with another song?
Yeah.
So I just made song after song after song, and that's one thing. Do you want it bad enough to, when the lockdown comes, I'm not allowed to go, whatever, record in your minivan, you know, for make 50 masters in your minivan in the back? Do you want it bad enough? Do you want it that bad enough? You know, do you want it bad enough to say, no, I'm not coming over and playing Fortnite. I got to make a song. You want it that bad? Yeah. Like whatever the...
Are you willing to sacrifice short-term dopamine spikes and pleasure for the long-term result of consistently doing the right thing over a long enough time horizon?
There's a quote I read one time. It said, greatness is in the moment of the decision, and in every moment we face a decision.
Ooh, that's good.
So it adds up, you know?
Yeah, so now let's get into some kind of more of the tactical stuff, right? The releasing the music. Forrest Frank said something and it got a lot of people upset. And he said, if you're releasing music and content and it's not hitting, it's because the music's not good enough. And he said it in this kind of like flippant way. But then there were some obvious things that were like, well, bud, like you were signed to 10K Projects, which is like Lucian Grange's son.
Had services.
Yeah, you had resources as a group. And for some people, the music might be good, but it may not just be in demand, right? It might be a niche style of music. It may not be in demand. For other people, the music may be good. They just don't know how to figure out the visual component to go along with the music, right? The music may be good, but you may not understand how to structure a TikTok video properly, right? Walk me through some of that. Because I think he said that, and I think he meant well, but there was also a lot of people that were like, we make good music, and it's not converting,
and, it's not hitting.
And there's other variables involved. Yeah.
I guess start off by saying Forrest is a friend of mine.
Yeah, you've kind of helped Forrest in the background a little bit.
Absolutely.
In terms of just,
when he had his renewal coming up with services, and he was planning on doing the solo project, and we had a lot of calls, a lot of FaceTimes, a lot of talks, a lot of advice was given, and I mean, you'd be surprised how many artists are on that list of people who I've spoke with. And then they found success, which is really cool. It's really but it's not like they talk to me and then they're all of a sudden good at making music. They're already really talented.
Really good at making music.
They're already really talented.
And by the way, behind the scenes, you really are like the artist whisperer. Like I'll talk to somebody and they're like, we're thinking about that. I'm like, man, just go talk to Nick about this. Like, I don't know. Go talk to Nick. So see what they're offering me this deal and this deal memo. And I'm like, please go talk to Nick. I said, a lot of people to you on that. Yeah.
But anyway, Forrest is a great dude. He's obviously talented, very good at making music. But on that point specifically, I do believe that a song will fall short if the content does. You can't have one without the other. Sometimes you can get lucky. But I believe that a great piece of content can make a good song great. And I believe a bad piece of content can make a great song good.
Yeah, that's good.
So you got to play the game as an independent artist. You do have to study content creators, not musicians, because how can you market your music? You know?
That's good. I mean, even in us going into this conversation, right? I think we were both excited to talk about the small business aspects, the creative entrepreneurship, that aspect. But even in the way we went into this conversation, you saw us stop and think through, how do we package this so that enough people want to check this out, and it's not just a niche of rappers who want to get popping with on TikTok and like they're coming to you for that. But no, how do we go broader? And so in the same way, we took a great conversation and we reevaluated and we packaged it in a video with a thumbnail and the title that's interesting to people.
How do you get people to click?
Yeah, how do you get people to click on YouTube? That's what it's about. To click on Instagram, TikTok, it's about as they're swiping, how do you catch their attention for that?
Yeah, you have, in that moment, if your video, so what you get is someone who is maybe has 15 minutes on a lunch break, maybe just sat down after mowing the grass, and they want to relax, they want to be entertained. They're not on the app to find your video, your music, your anything. They're there to be entertained. So how do you entertain someone who doesn't know who you are, doesn't care who you are, is not there to find you, doesn't like you, knows nothing about you? How do you entertain that person? Because it's not by
promoting your song,
or even playing your song. That's not how you. Now, sometimes the song can carry, but that's the anomaly, right? That's like somehow that hit a tone, hit a vibe, hit a whatever that people were just feeling. But on a majority of the time, how do you entertain the person who doesn't care about you and doesn't know who you are?
Yeah. The interesting aspect that I love about that is that you're actually putting the other person on the other side first.
Absolutely.
So you're not starting with, I'm self-important. I'm the hero of the story.
Right.
Donald Miller talks a lot about this in his framework. Like the consumer is the hero. You're the sage. The person doing the consuming is who we're concerned about. So if you're not starting with this presupposition of, I'm the guy, you all should like my music. A lot of artists get frustrated. A lot of YouTubers get frustrated because they're like, but I have this, I'm an expert at this and no one's watching, or I make good music, but no one's listening. Where you're flipping it and you're going, no. Let me consider the person, the viewer first, and how do I serve them? If it's entertainment, if it's education, if it's edutainment, how do we package it for them so that they can receive what it is that we have to offer?
Absolutely. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah. It's a little different with music. I think it's harder with music, at least being on the other side of this.
Because it's still, music has to be good.
The music has to be good.
You know?
The music has to be good. The visual has to be interesting. The person making the music has to look like the music to some degree or something interesting. So there's a lot of variables there that I think
what's funny? If the music is far enough bad, it'll also be good.
Yeah,
you know
that's a good point.
But if it's like in the middle ground,
that's a good point.
Flies under the radar.
Tell me about what you're most excited about next, because you're kind of coasting with music and it's still performing phenomenally.
It's doing great.
Like just I hate the term passive income because I don't think there's anything truly passive, but when music is so fun and easy for you to make, it's as close as you can get to something truly being passive and the value it generates, right? But you also don't have a very big team. It's just you for the most part. You're a solopreneur and you have people that you contract and outsource to. What are you most excited about that you have in the pipeline? Is it these children's books? Is it more public speaking and more conversations like this? Is it sharing your faith more and kind of being more overt about Jesus? Like, what are the things you're most excited about?
I love the idea of dialing in these Christian books, or these children's books. They were just so fun.
Freudian slip. Freudian slip. You got Christian books coming too.
You do, right? You got one?
I do.
What's that one called again?
It's going to be about godly ambition.
Okay. Yeah. And I do really enjoy talking about this stuff. One reason is, like, there are a lot of talented people, far more talented than me, that aren't as successful. and I want them to be. So I love the education. I love sharing and teaching what I've learned and what worked for me, and I've seen it work for others as well. So that's affirming. And then I also love the side of it that I'm in a place now where a lot of people would like to be, and from here I can say like it doesn't feel any different. You know what I mean? So like
that's good.
Don't let it.
I got to the mountaintop,
Right.
and it's cool, but I'm still me.
And people will still have opinions on it, like, well, then why aren't you taking it farther? And it's like, what's cool about why I feel good about it is I'm independent by choice. I'm not independent by default. I'm also not taking it farther than what I have by choice, not because people stopped listening. Like it's like this, like, and then by choice I mean like because I know that nothing more is going to come from continuing on.
Is there something about like now that you've solved some of those bare bone things, right? You've proven all the people wrong. You've solved all your financial aspirations, 50-acre farm, great revenue streams. You've solved the need to be affirmed by outside people, right? Like which we all have to a certain extent. Is there anything in you that you feel like now I'm trying to solve something bigger, something more important to an extent?
You could help me unpack it if you want.
Yeah, Christian books. Listen, I think that there is something remarkable about people who get to a place where they just don't care,
right.
and they just start saying exactly what they think. Right. And there's some of that in your book. Like there's some of this, like
a little bit.
I just don't care anymore. I'm just going to tell you,
right.
So I do think there's something to that of like the I am going to tell you exactly, and I think people find that refreshing. Right. So it's like a Russell Brand. I'm not sure if you've kept up with it, like Russell Brand coming to faith and becoming a Christian. Sure. It's very much so like, look, I'm no expert.
Yeah.
Don't come to me as an authority because I'm not. But like, this is what I think when I look at society. Right. Society is backwards and asinine. And this is why Christianity and Jesus made. Like, I think there's something refreshing about that. You know what I mean? So I could see you being just more unapologetic about those things. And there's glimpses of it. Like there's glimpses of it in the art, which I'm always excited when you like say something about Jesus or the Messiah. And I'm like, yeah! So I could see you doing that if that's what you felt like was on your heart to say.
Yeah, and it could be. And I guess my inner battle would be, if I go do it and I do it on camera, do I have a desire to be watched while doing it?
Yeah, it's interesting.
It's like that inner battle of.
Yeah. Well, I think you did it in this interview. Honestly, I think we talked. This is the most I've heard you talk about faith publicly. So I think Christians will be refreshed that you have this robust faith, and I think your audience that may not be familiar with your faith will be intrigued and be like, oh, I never knew that about him, but that actually makes a lot of sense, and put piecing that all together. So, yeah, man, any final thoughts, final words?
No.
This is our what, fourth or fifth interview?
Is it?
Yeah, something like that.
It's been a few years since.
Yeah, the first one was in 2019 when we both had the long hair.
Yeah.
And then we did a couple remote jams. And this is, I think, our second in-person jam. So,
always a pleasure.
Yeah, man. Thank you for being here, guys. Subscribe to Nick's channel if you're an artist, entrepreneur, Freddie for Artists. Yeah. It's amazing. Check out his music. And if you want to hear our first in-person conversation, go back in time with both of us. We'll have that over here. And Bless God Conference announcement coming soon. We're trying to get Nick locked in for that. So maybe by the time the full thing comes out, we'll have them all finalized here in Southern California, Bless God Conference. All right. Any final words before we get out?
Got nothing.
All right. Peace. Thank you so much for watching that video. Guys, I believe that one of the best ways you can build a business is by first building a platform online. So Zach Sparazzo puts together a free training for you on the #1 metric you can be looking for to explode your YouTube platform. Click the link in the pinned comment below so you can start that now. All right? I'll see you over there. Peace.